Please welcome the wonderful Julie Oliver. So Julie, what inspired you to run for Congress? I can't imagine a situation happening in America that would compel you to run for Congress.
No, in fact, everything is great here in America.
Yes.
I can't imagine.
We're not racist.
Not at all. No, we're 100% together, and we have a very positive outlook in our future. No, really, in all honesty, I have a little boy, and he's 21. He's not a little boy anymore, but he's had health issues his entire life. And so a year ago, when Congress met to repeal the Affordable Care Act, I looked at my husband and I said, "Are you going to run for Congress?" Mm-hmm. And this was his honest to God answer. He said, "Julie, we have enough straight white men in Congress. We need more women." And I was like, "I'm so glad you said that because I think I have to run." And one of the things that the Affordable Care Act does, besides offer millions of people in America with health insurance, is that it protects normal people who have just pre-existing conditions from discrimination from insurance companies. And I really thought to myself, I'm like, I have to do something to protect my son. And so that's why I decided to run. And yeah, there are a lot of things that need help in America, and that's what I want to do. I really just want to help.
Damn, that's like a really good Christmas present.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, here's mascara. She works in cosmetics. I would vote for my mom. Her name is Diana Ross. For real.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's for real.
Oh my
Diana
God,
Ross,
I love that.
She can't sing, but she thinks she can. So her birthday last month was a karaoke party where only she sang, and it was rough.
Was it all Diana Ross songs?
No.
Okay.
But that would have been nice. So transparency is something you're strongly committed to.
Yes.
We mentioned you don't take PAC money. And I respect, you being transparent. You carry around your tax returns, you mentioned. I find that hard to be that transparent because everyone would find out I have a used Chili's gift card in my bag at all times. But why do you think other politicians should follow in your footsteps when it comes to campaign financing?
Well, I think representative democracy is really about having somebody who will represent the people in a district and not corporations or special interests. So I think it's really important that we have campaign finance reform because unfortunately with the Citizens United Supreme Court decision, which allowed limitless amounts of corporate money into elections and into the halls of Congress, we had representatives who decided to vote in favor of certain things that special interests could buy. And so in our district, Roger Williams takes money from big banks, and he has voted every time he could to strip away protections, consumer financial protections, that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has put in place since the 2008 Great Recession. And he also takes money from private prisons, detention centers, the NRA, you name it. You know how he's going to vote because you can follow the money trail. And that's not doing any of the constituents in our district any favors. And so I want to walk the walk and say I am not beholden to any donors. And in fact, our average donation is like $30 a person. Mm-hmm. And we were still able to outraise him last quarter.
That's amazing.
Which I think is very
clap
impressive.
For that,
Yeah.
So what have been the biggest challenges you faced in your campaign this year?
Well, I think the biggest challenges we face, how many of y'all have seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story? Not that I can see you raising your hands out there. There's a scene in the Walk Hard, Dewey Cox story, and it's a really funny movie if you haven't seen it, where
not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. John C. Reilly is this musician. He's about to go on tour, and he's married to Kristen Wiig, which hilarity ensues just because of that. Mm-hmm. But as he's calling home to check in and everything, she always tells him on the phone, "You're never going to make it." And I truly feel like that's how people feel. Like, oh, you're never going to make it. You're running against a Republican incumbent who has all the money in the world. He's been there all, blah, blah, blah. They gerrymandered the district. Well, the reality is people want to be heard. Mm-hmm. And so I've actually gone out into this district. I've put over 40,000 miles on my car, going to all the 13 counties. In fact, I'll be in Stephenville if anybody wants a ride tomorrow. Stephenville tomorrow. And things are changing. Mm-hmm. And for all the naysayers who are out there who say, you can't do this, none of the people in Travis County can actually achieve winning. I think that's just rubbish. I absolutely do, because this is a different year. We have people who are running for office who care about people. And then obviously we have a president who gives us reasons every morning at 6 o'clock, for why we should be running. And it's a different year. We also have a top of the ticket, Beto O'Rourke, who is such a good role model for the rest of us running. And his entire modus operandi has been going out and meeting people. Like, that's so novel.
Yeah.
It hasn't been done in years and years. I call it the old school campaigning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on the other side of things, like Ted Cruz and Cornyn, like, don't go to town halls.
No.
Like, they don't show up, and, like, they don't go to their, like, weekly office hours or whatever. Like, people are outside their door and they're not there. They're in DC,
they're hiding. Like,
yeah.
Are they gone yet?
They unplug their voicemails.
Yeah.
I feel like a jealous girlfriend. I'm like, pick up your phone! Because I, like, call them so much. I'm like, I don't call home this often. So you were recently endorsed by Elizabeth Warren.
Yes.
How do I get her to endorse me? how did you get to that point where someone, you are an inspirational person, she's an inspirational person, she's in Massachusetts.
Right.
Like, how did she find out about, that Texas people have stuff going on down here?
Well, I think people are paying attention to Texas. It's incredible. Everybody thought Texas was a lost cause. They really did. Like, oh, it's a red state, it's a red state. It's not a red state. It is just a non-voting state, and the numbers show that. Midterms are where about 1.5 million Democrats fall off. I don't know where they go, but November 6th or the second Tuesday, they're at Chili's. They're not, they're using your gift card.
I know. And screwed up that whole campaign. Yeah.
And so I think people are starting to pay attention, and I think we have somebody who, again, in Beto O'Rourke and all of these people who are first-time candidates. They've never run before, but they realize, like me, that something is terribly wrong in America, and we want to do the right thing. And I, fortunately, in this particular instance, I had a law school professor who made the connection, and he introduced her campaign to our campaign. That's awesome. It was wonderful, and I feel very, very indebted to him. That's very grateful.
Amazing. Well, you'll get that Elizabeth Warren bump. I don't know if you'll get the bump from being on this show. But who's a strong female leader in your own life?
My mom was. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all a super quick story. I was a 17-year-old high school dropout. I ran away from home, and I got pregnant. So I went back home. And my mom was, first of all, if you're 17, you're pregnant and you ran away from home, going back home is a terrifying experience.
I'm not all those things, and it's still a terrifying experience to go home.
And my mom...
I'm from Jersey.
Yeah. You should do like me. Have thick skin. My mom was so amazing. And she said, Julie, I will do whatever I can to help you. And we were poor, y'all. We were super poor. So there was no college plan for me. There was no health care in our family. We had no health insurance. But she helped me raise my daughter, my oldest daughter. And she was such an incredible role model to me. And the fact that she would set aside her life to help me... she lived and embodied what service and compassion and love is. And if I didn't have my mom, I think y'all can imagine what the life of a 17-year-old pregnant dropout, high school dropout could be. She wouldn't be running for Congress. And because my mom was such a powerful force in my life, I was able to go back to high school, graduate a week after giving birth, go on to college, and then go on to law school.
That's incredible.
And I couldn't give them that much.
I'm so glad you spoke to your story, because when you talked about it at the Women's Rocket Club meeting, I'm like, holy shit, not only are you a first-time candidate, but you've overcome so many obstacles before you even got here.
Yeah.
And this should be a walk in the park. Congress should be a walk in the park after all of that. I do want to talk about, a big part of your campaign is Medicare for all.
Yep.
And because you were an expert on healthcare. I didn't know anything until that meeting. Can you speak about why this is the best solution for our country?
Absolutely. So I can get as far into the weeds as you like, or I can keep it very top level. I have been in healthcare finance for 15 years, and one of the things that we know in healthcare finance is that the more people who have healthcare coverage, the lower the costs are for everybody. And so in Texas, we have the most to gain out of any state. We still have the highest uninsured rates. 16% of our population is uninsured. So when those folks get sick or they get injured, they go to the emergency rooms, which is the most expensive level of care. And so I favor Medicare for all, which is just a single payer. It doesn't change your choice of doctors. It just means the government will pay the bill, I favor that because when everybody gets covered, so if you have conditions like diabetes or hypertension, which are very, very treatable in a doctor setting, you can actually lower healthcare costs for everybody. And then you can go into all the administrative efficiencies. I will tell y'all, insurance companies have become unscrupulous in what they call denials. They deny coverage to their patients. And who's left holding the bag? The patients and the hospitals and the doctors. And I unfortunately met an attorney she represented doctors who went into bankruptcy because insurance companies quit paying them. And so we have a horrible problem in America where we have allowed insurance companies to basically dictate healthcare in America. Mm-hmm. And so I absolutely favor Medicare for all. I think it's a solution that makes sense, and I think that you create a more productive workforce because people are able to access healthcare. But then you also create a workforce that isn't tied to an employer because that's where their health insurance is. Mm-hmm. You create so much freedom. Mm-hmm. So it works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And
even the Koch brothers did a study, and they discovered that it was going to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So.
And then they're like, the numbers, I don't know.
Yeah.
They passed it away. Okay, picture this. You're stuck in a room with the sentient form of those dripping clocks from Salvador Dali's Persistence of Memory painting, mm-hmm. a.k.a. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Okay. Spitting image. What do you say to him?
Oh, golly. God, can you ask him questions like, why are you so evil? What happened to you as a child?
Dripping clock.
Yeah, I mean, he is. And, not that I don't ever want to, speak the way somebody looks because, often, mm-hmm. They can't help it. But I do think that, how do you get to be such a, how does the compassion in your life just completely evaporate? Mm-hmm. Because the man has none. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be like, why are you okay with harming families, mm-hmm. families of kids who are medically fragile, families with children who have special needs, people with pre-existing conditions? What is it in you that thinks that is an okay solution for America mm-hmm. to pull away health care from folks like that? Mm-hmm. I think that's what I would ask him.
Yeah.
I know that's a multifaceted question, but
he'd probably be like, what? What I've learned is, people like him have never had to face those problems.
No.
People like you have. And that's why we need more people that are relatable to the voters. Yeah. And that's my endorsement.
Thank you. I take that. I'll put that on my website.
I'm not in your district, but I would vote. I'd commit voter fraud just to vote for you. But I won't. I won't. But as is tradition, thank you for coming on the show. We have a strong female leader gift from you. Dollar Tree, not a sponsor. Not PAC endorsed either. Can you imagine a Dollar Tree PAC? I fall under it. And so we have this other wine glass that says, I grabbed 2 bottles of wine, one for me and one for me. I love it! It feels like Medicare for all. And also, once you get to Congress, I know there's a lot of fragile male egos. And, they need to be coaxed and convinced that they're doing things. So here's a certificate of achievements that you can hand out to them when they think they're doing anything at all.
Can I sign it with a crayon?
Yes, you can. Thank you so much, Julia.
Thank you.